This is Mike Anuzzi at musicaccelerator.com. We are here with a great friend of mine, one of my favorite performers, an accomplished drummer and musician. I have had the incredible opportunity to share stages with him playing in a band setting. He's an extremely dynamic and energetic performer and has toured the world with artists like Little Richard. Also, he's an incredible singer-songwriter and producer making new music all the time. He's a family man and such a great spirit. Please welcome on the line, Demar. Demar, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. So let's get into it then. Demar, what got you interested in music?
I think I was born into it. It's like my mother was an actress, and there was always music around the house. And from my earliest memories, man, I've just always loved music, and I gravitated toward drums at like the age of 4 or 5, just beating on pots and pans. And I used to beat holes in my mother's couches. And then she finally was like, well, I either have to buy him a drum kit or kill him. So she opted for the drum kit.
Wow, you have come a long way from beating on pots and pans.
Hey, man, I'm still trying to get there. It's a journey.
Absolutely. Well, then, I guess moving right along, how did you end up learning that skill from beating on pots and pans to realizing, hey, my family might have to support me to help me get a drum set so I could continue to learn this trade? And then beyond that, did you take lessons? Did you go to school? Did you just play your heart out all the time? What was it?
Well, yeah. Well, it's kind of all of the above, man. Like I mentioned, my mom was an actress, so I used to go to rehearsals with her. And I was just into all things music and art and entertainment. And I used to listen to my mom's records all the time. And I joined the school band when I was in the 7th grade. And I was orchestrally trained with, snare drum and timpani, and I did all of that. I didn't actually start playing drum set until like 10th grade. And I started, much to my chagrin, jumped in trying to play jazz and was like, oh no, what is this? But it was great. And I studied all of that. And I went to college at Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, where I was a music major with percussion jazz emphasis, and studied there, and it was quite the experience. And in terms of I think my senior year, man, my mother gave me a choice. She was like, well, I can get you a really great professional drum set, or you can get a car. You make a choice. And I was like, yo, if I got a drum set, I can play gigs and I can buy my own car. So, and I remember a lot of people, she worked at the post office, and I remember this guy was like, that's the stupidest thing in the world. He's going to turn down a car for a drum set. And,
wow.
But, that first drum set she bought me, man, it pretty much paved the way. I think I worked one job. I worked at a record store when I was like 19 for about 6-7 months. And it was right after I got my drum kit, I was starting to gig and gigging out. And after that 7 months, I got an audition to go on tour with Dorothy Moore. And I went on after that. I never actually worked a straight job, so to speak, for anybody else. I always just did music because I had a mentor. It's got Vashti Jackson, which is, he's still like this world-renowned genius. And we had a conversation one day. He's like, yo, if you want to do this music thing, man, you just have to approach it like anything else. You have to wake up every day focused on your goals, and, you just have to approach creating opportunities. You have to look at yourself as a businessman. And, once he gave me that mindset, I was like, oh, cool. I can work for myself. And with that inspiration and, my first opportunity with Dorothy Moore, I just, never looked back, man, and, still moving forward.
Wow, absolutely. That is such a great story all along, and just a witness to the hard work and devotion that you put into every note that you play, and all the new music that you're putting out. It's really incredible to follow that. So I wanted to kind of go on. It sounds like your start in the music industry was, post-college, you just jumped right in and you auditioned for probably a bunch of different people before you got your first gig.
Well, the thing that was cool, man, was that excuse me, I was in Mississippi, man. So it was very, very fertile training ground because there was like, the Chitlin circuit as they call it, like all these blues and soul cats gigging around locally and regionally, man, and it was, a chance to get your foot wet. So it was like, yo, let's get in, you go, I would gig at the little hole in the wall juke joints. And these will be some of the greatest cats. Like, I didn't know at the time. I just thought these were cats that, gigging around. But as I got to know them, like, these cats are recorded with some of the greatest people in the world, that toured. And, there was all kinds of stories as to why they were where they were at that time. But they were very gracious and very stern disciplinarians. Like, they would teach us, well, this is what you got to, this is how you got to play the shuffle. This is how you got to play the groove. And if you made a mistake, they were not gentle with you. I mean, I've gotten cursed out and yelled at, and, cats threaten to put hands on you. It's like, man, the groove is it's paramount. It's sacred. You do not sacrifice the groove. Man, we'll put hands on you if you slow my tempo down. I think a lot of that was just, them, just kind of, not that they would probably actually do it, but it was just them really, imparting into us as young musicians how important this legacy and the tradition that they were passing down to us was. And, the thing that happened was once you kind of got in that circle, and I think for a couple of years I was playing that circuit and, the word gets around, and the guys that were playing with Dorothy Moore, it was kind of weird. I say audition, but I was kind of like ushered into the gig because the guys that were playing the gig decided to leave, and they were the guys that were mentoring me and a bunch of other guys I was, coming up with in college. And they just kind of said, yo, you guys are going to take the gig now.
Wow.
And Dorothy was like, okay, well, I've seen them play, and, that's fine. And I know them. And, she came by and heard us play her music, and was like, okay, great. If you guys say they can do it. And that's kind of how it's been my entire career. It's, and that's, I always tell students and people, it's like relationships are so important. And, your reputation and, it's like a lot of opportunities that I've gotten. When I got the audition for Little Richard, man, it was strictly based on a relationship I had with someone that had a relationship with him. And they recommended me based on the relationship. Not so, they knew I could do the job. I mean, there's always people that could do the job.
Right.
But you got to have the right relationships with people, and you got to have a good reputation with people. And, that's been, a great experience of mine so far.
Something that really stood out with you telling me these stories is you basically earned the audition. You earned it before the audition was actually present. It was more like you put in the work, you put in the effort to go out in the music scene and build what you were doing, and the audition came to you because of that. It wasn't just somebody setting up a time and a day that you came and you showed them that you knew how to play the drums. You already put in that work before the audition was even present. So that is really, really a great testament to any musician to realize how much work it actually is.
One thing I'll piggyback what you say there is what most musicians don't get is that every time you play, every gig is an audition for the next gig. Every time you play, you're auditioning. Every time. And you don't really realize it because whenever you're playing in front of people, you never know who's watching you. You never know what opportunity. So you can never take any days off. You can never say, oh, man, it's only 5 people here. You have to play the same way for 5 people that you play for 50,000. And I had a professor tell me that years ago. I was like, yo, man, every gig, every day is an audition for the next day. Every gig is an audition for the next gig. And it's like, if you approach it that way, opportunity always comes because you're always prepared. You're always in that zone.
Right. That is so special. Thank you for sharing that. Then if we move forward, because it's kind of every day is very different for you. And I know that some days you're wearing the hat as the music producer, some days you're wearing the hat as the performer, some days you're wearing the hat as a studio player and touring guy and all of the above. So what is a typical day-to-day like for you?
Well, like as you said, it literally changes day to day, week to week. But basically, on a weekly basis, I'm probably having to learn, just as a professional musician, I'm probably learning anywhere between 15 to 30 new songs a week for some different artists, whether it's recording or playing a show or preparing for a tour. And that's kind of a regular thing every week. And then, as a father, I've got, 3-year-old twin boys that I pretty much have with me during the day when I'm here. My studio and office and everything is right here at home. So I'm up every morning at least by 7 a.m. with those guys, get their breakfast prepared, and, I have a couple hours to do schoolwork and stuff with them. And then I'm usually by 10 a.m., I'm either in the studio recording or writing charts or on the computer. Like I have to do all my social media stuff. I usually do that in the morning between 10 and 12. And I'm in the studio pretty much all day, in and out between the studio, writing charts, working, and dealing with the babies. And usually I'm gigging here 5 to 6 nights a week. So I'm usually evening, mid-afternoon, or, early evening or so to head to wherever my gig is.
Right.
And that's kind of a daily thing. Where it's like, say, it's really changing, because now this week I was doing music for a Marvin Gaye tribute, and I have an artist that's flying in. And the next week I'll start on his music on Monday. And I have a 2-week tour in Italy in July when I'm playing in the house band for the Coretta Soul Festival.
Awesome.
And I think it's like maybe 10 artists, and I just got the Dropbox with all that material. So I'll, at some point here in the next couple of weeks, start to digest that material and write the charts. But yeah, it's constantly, as much as I'm always doing for other people, and I'm constantly always in creative mode, and I'm always writing songs and recording my own material as well. So it's like, I find those holes in between the other thing to continue to develop my writing and production stuff too, personally.
Absolutely. Well, it's really cool that you mentioned all your social media stuff. I've been following that for a long time, all over Instagram, all over Facebook and everything. And I will add those links to this as well, so everybody could go check out what you're doing. It's a lot of really cool stuff. And Dimar, as a family man, as a performer, as a touring artist, you have so much on your plate, man. And I am just so impressed with all the projects that you have going on for your personal music, and your new album or your new recordings are sounding so cool. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about those current projects that you're working on?
Okay, sure. Well, I've had 3 solo releases to date. There's a one-check single, and there's my debut full-length record. And all these are on iTunes, by the way. The Dimar Experience, and my last studio record was called The Truth. And the thing is I released those records maybe 4 years ago, was my last release. But my day job for like 15 years, as I call it, has been writing songs. So probably for about 10 years, I was touring, and my day gig, I wrote a song a day, every day, for about 10 years. So I have this immense catalog of material, and I have 2 new records now that are some records, new releases, new music that I'm preparing to release. But in setting those records up, I've just been kind of putting out music from my catalog. It's like, oh yeah, I've never put this out, so I'm just kind of dropping music to let people know, oh yeah, this is what I'm capable of. Just kind of planting seeds, preparing for the new record to come out. And I just shot a new video for the first single from the next record for a song called New Funk. And I'm really, really excited about that. So we're moving forward with that. And I'm trying to just figure this new game out. Traditionally, the music industry is so different now than it was 20 years ago. So I've been giving away a lot of music for people to hear, and I have these new projects, and I'm just trying to figure out the best way to present this music and to attach it to something that people care about. So they'll be interested in the music, because it seems now that people get music so many places for free that, as musicians, the only way we can benefit financially is when our music is attached to something else that people care enough about to want to pay for it, whether it's a social cause or a fad or just whatever it is, a state of mind, a political, whatever. So that's kind of where I am now. So I've just been planting seeds and just giving away a bunch of music, and I won't even say giving away, but just sharing
it, yeah,
a bunch of music
and
experiences with friends and potential music fans. I don't like the word fan, but friends.
As a fan, I'm a legitimate fan of what you're doing, and I highly recommend everybody take advantage of checking out that music, because it is truly amazing to hear what you are doing. So, Dimar, what do you have coming up next that you're really, really excited about? I know you mentioned a tour in Italy. You have a Marvin Gaye tribute event that you're performing. So, what's really exciting you at the moment?
Man, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me, because when people ask me that and I tell them, they think I'm just making it up. But it's just the simplest thing. The simplest thing excites me every day, and that's just waking up.
Beautiful, man. That is so special, and just living in the moment and realizing what a gift it is to be able to get up and do what you love on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, I mean, once you wake up, everything else is good. It's like, especially this with the year we've had, with losing so many great entertainers, it just kind of reminds you just how valuable this experience is and how important it is. Just like you said, to wake up and live in the moment. And so I've got a lot of things coming up. I have a regular gig we do with a friend of mine, fellow artist, genius guy, Kenya Baker. We're at Blondie's Bar No Grill in San Francisco every Sunday and Tuesday, and it's very cool. You've been there.
I love it.
Been a part of the party.
That was the first time really I got to see you perform, and it's really great. If you're in San Francisco Bay Area and you have not seen Dimar perform, I am surprised, but you have to make that arrangement to go see him any night you can of the week, and that's a really great spot, Dimar.
And also my website is dmarmusic.com, and my entire schedule, like I have dates now on the calendar up till November of this year, and my entire calendar is there on the website. So, if you ever want to know where I am, what I'm doing, it's all the information is there. And there's a site now, and the new website is going to be launched in the next 30 days or so with bunch of new music and visuals. The new video will be there as well. So, but it's dmarmusic.com.
Awesome, and I will include all of those links at the bottom. So, everyone, I want to thank you, Dimar, for taking your time out of your day to share your experience with us today. I have listened to.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Like I said, I've listened to a bunch of your tracks, and everything is sounding amazing. So make sure that for all the listeners on this today, I hope that you all have learned something from listening to Dimar's experience. I hope that you take advantage of listening to all of his music. Dimar, I want to thank you again. This is Mike Annuzzi at musicaccelerator.com, and we will see you again next time. Thank you.